1 tablespoon of molasses, 1 week, and some gardeners swear their plants have never looked better. Now, before you roll your eyes, I know how that sounds, and I want to be upfront with you right at the top of this video, because I'm not here to sell you something that isn't true. Molasses is not a magic potion. It's not going to turn a struggling plant into a jungle overnight. And I'm not going to sit here and promise you a guaranteed measurement of triple on every single plant, every single time. What I am going to show you is a real, well-documented gardening habit, one that's been used by organic growers for decades, and explain exactly why it works, where this ingredient actually comes from, and how to use it the right way so you see real results in about a week. No exaggeration, no gimmicks, just the actual science in plain language. Let's get into it. Welcome to Senior Green Haven. So glad you found us. This channel is about one thing, helping you build a garden that feels like your own sanctuary, no matter your space, your budget, or how many seasons you've been at this. And that means giving you honest information, not just hype. If that sounds like your kind of channel, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss the tips and kitchen secrets we share here. Now let's actually talk about what molasses is. Here's something most gardening videos skip entirely, where molasses even comes from. Molasses starts its life as sugarcane. Sometimes it's made from sugar beets instead, but for gardening purposes, cane molasses is the one you want. Here's the process. In simple terms, sugarcane stalks are crushed to extract the raw juice. That juice is boiled down to encourage sugar crystals to form. This first boil produces what's called first molasses, which is the sweetest and lightest. The remaining liquid is boiled a second time to pull out more sugar, producing second molasses. Darker, less sweet. The third and final boil produces blackstrap molasses, the thick, dark, almost bitter syrup you want for your garden. Here's why that third boiling matters so much. Blackstrap molasses is what's left after most of the sugar has already been removed for table sugar. That means, compared to lighter molasses, it holds on to a much higher concentration of the minerals that were in the original sugarcane plant. Things like potassium, calcium, magnesium, iron, and manganese, along with the natural sugars that remain. So when you reach for molasses at the store, Blackstrap is the one to grab. Look for unsulfured on the label too. That just means no sulfur dioxide was used as a preservative during processing, which is the gentler option for your soil. Now here's the part that's genuinely backed by how soil biology functions, not just gardening folklore. Healthy soil isn't just dirt. It's alive, full of bacteria, fungi, and microorganisms that break down organic matter and convert it into forms your plant's roots can actually absorb. This is sometimes called the soil food web. Molasses does two real things for that soil food web. One, it's a direct food source for microbes. Sugar is one of the simplest, fastest energy sources bacteria and fungi can use. A dose of molasses can noticeably increase microbial activity in soil within days. This part is well documented in soil science research. 2. It supplies trace minerals. The potassium and calcium left in blackstrap molasses support things like stem strength and cell wall development, the same way they would from any other mineral source. Here's the honest part, though. More active soil microbes and a small trace mineral boost is a real, measurable thing. Whether that translates into triple growth depends heavily on your plant, your existing soil health, your climate, and how depleted your soil was to begin with. A plant in poor, lifeless soil might respond dramatically. A plant that's already getting excellent nutrition might barely change. That's just how gardening works. And honestly, that's true of every fertilizer or feeding method, not just this one. What you can reasonably expect within about a week: greener color, slightly more vigorous new growth, and soil that smells and feels more alive. That's the real, honest version of this trick. And for a cost of pennies, it's still one of the best value habits in gardening. Let's go one layer deeper, because this next part explains why gardeners keep coming back to this specific ingredient instead of just any sugar source. Soil bacteria and fungi don't just need sugar, they need a workable ratio of carbon to nitrogen to actually multiply and stay productive. Fresh organic matter, like grass clippings or kitchen scraps, is often heavy on one side of that ratio or the other. Molasses is almost pure, simple carbon in an easy-to-use form, which means it can help balance out a carbon-nitrogen ratio that's tilted too far toward nitrogen. A common issue in beds that get a lot of manure or nitrogen-rich fertilizer, but not much else. There's also a secondary effect worth knowing. As soil microbes consume that sugar and multiply, their own waste products and cell material become part of the soil's organic matter over time. This is part of how stable, humus-like material builds up in healthy soil. The same dark, crumbly, good-smelling soil you'll hear serious gardeners talk about. Molasses doesn't create that material directly, but it feeds the biological engine that does. None of this is instant magic. It's a slow, cumulative process that compounds the more consistently you feed it, which is exactly why a single application won't do much. But a regular routine over weeks and months genuinely changes the character of your soil. Not every plant responds to this the same way, and it's worth being honest about that too. Heavy feeders tend to show the most noticeable response. Tomatoes, peppers, roses, squash, and other vegetables that are already pulling a lot of nutrients from the soil to support fast growth and fruiting. These are the plants most likely to show visible improvement within a week or two of starting a molasses routine. Slow growers and plants adapted to lean, poor soil, succulents, cacti, and many native drought-tolerant plants generally won't show much difference, and in some cases you can skip feeding them altogether. Their whole strategy is thriving with very little, and extra feeding doesn't help the way it does for a hungry vegetable plant. If you're gardening in raised beds or containers with fresh, high-quality potting mix, you may also notice less of a dramatic change simply because that soil's microbial activity is already in good shape. This trick tends to shine brightest in older garden beds, compacted soil, or areas that have been heavily used for years without much organic matter added back in. Hey, quick pause right here. If you're finding this useful, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this reach more people who want real, honest gardening information instead of empty hype. Tell me in the comments, had you heard of using molasses in the garden before this video? I read every comment. We've still got the exact method, plus several bonus ways to use this one ingredient. Keep watching. Here's the core routine, the one most organic gardeners actually use. How to DIY. Mix 1 tablespoon of unsulfured Blackstrap molasses into 1 gallon of water. Stir until fully dissolved. Warm water helps it blend faster. Water at the base of the plant, soaking the root zone, once every 7 to 14 days. Design tip: apply it in the morning. Cooler morning soil tends to have more active microbes ready to put that sugar to use right away. Cost reality: 1 bottle of Blackstrap molasses runs about $4 to $6 and lasts for months of feedings at this dose. That's it. Simple, cheap, and grounded in real soil science. No exaggerated numbers required. A few honest warnings, because most disappointing results come down to one of these. Using the wrong type of molasses. Regular table molasses or sulfured molasses isn't ideal here. Sulfur dioxide is used as a preservative in some brands, and it can work against the beneficial microbes you're trying to feed. Stick with unsulfured Blackstrap specifically. Overdoing it. More is not better. Going beyond a tablespoon per gallon or feeding more often than every week doesn't speed up the process. It can actually attract unwanted pests drawn to the sugar or throw off the balance of your soil. Expecting it to fix an unrelated problem. If a plant is struggling from too much or too little light, poor drainage, a pest infestation, or the wrong watering schedule, molasses isn't going to fix any of that. It supports healthy soil biology. It doesn't override every other growing condition, applying it to bone-dry soil. Molasses water needs to reach living roots and active microbes to do anything at all. Watering it onto parched, compacted soil means most of it just runs off or sits on the surface, giving up after one application. This is a cumulative habit, not a single event. One feeding might do very little on its own. The real value shows up over several consistent applications. Since you've made it this far, here are a few additional, genuinely useful ways to use the same bottle. 1. Seed starting soak. Mix 1 teaspoon of molasses into 1 quart of warm water and soak seeds for 6 to 8 hours before planting. The sugar can give emerging roots an early energy source. Don't soak longer than that. Seeds are delicate. 2. Compost activator. Mix 2 tablespoons of molasses into a gallon of water and pour it over your compost pile every couple of weeks. It speeds up decomposition by feeding the same microbes doing the breakdown work. 3. Houseplant feeding. Use a lighter dose, 1 teaspoon per quart of water, every 3 to 4 weeks. Indoor potting soil often has fewer active microbes than outdoor garden soil, so even a light feed can make a difference. Skip it on plants that are stressed or newly repotted. 4. Pair it with Epsom salt. Molasses feeds soil microbes. Epsom salt supplies magnesium, which supports chlorophyll production and leaf color. Combine 1 tablespoon of each in a gallon of water and apply once a month. Not more often, since magnesium can build up over time. 5. A light foliar spray. Mix 1 teaspoon of molasses into 1 quart of water, strain out any thick residue, and mist it lightly onto leaves in the early morning or evening, never in direct, hot sun. Some gardeners use this as a mild pick-me-up for a tired-looking plant between root feedings. Test on 1 or 2 leaves first and wait a day before spraying the whole plant. 6. Easing transplant recovery. After transplanting a seedling or moving a plant to a new spot, roots are often stressed and the surrounding soil hasn't built up much biological activity yet. A very light molasses drench, half the normal dose, so half a tablespoon per gallon, about a week after transplanting can help re-establish microbial activity around the new root zone. Avoid feeding on the same day as transplanting itself. Let the plant settle for at least a few days first. Here's the honest bonus tip, and it costs nothing. None of this works without consistent, even watering. Every benefit we've talked about today depends on soil microbes staying active, and those microbes need steady moisture to survive and multiply. Feed your soil and then let it dry out completely between waterings, and you've undercut the whole process before it started. Check your plant's soil and inch down with your finger right now. If it's dry more often than it's slightly moist, that's a bigger factor in your plant's growth than any single ingredient on this list. So there you have it. The real story behind molasses in the garden, where it comes from, why it genuinely feeds your soil, and how to use it without falling for exaggerated promises. Is it going to guarantee tripled growth on every plant in exactly 7 days? Honestly, no. And I'd rather tell you that up front than have you disappointed later. What it will do reliably is feed your soil biology, supply real trace minerals, and give your plants a gentle, consistent boost for pennies of feeding. That's not hype. That's just good, honest gardening. Are you going to try the main root feeding, the seed soak, or the Epsom salt combo first? Tell me your plan in the comments. If you're not subscribed yet, now is the time. Come join a community of gardeners who'd rather have the truth than the hype, building beautiful gardens at any age and any budget. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Now get out there and grow something amazing. I'll see you in the next one.